Hey, this is Derek Jordan. Welcome to the World Fusion Show, where we bring you the leading innovators in world fusion music. Today, my guest is Kinan Azmeh, who is a composer and clarinetist. Welcome, Kinan Azmeh, to the World Fusion Show.
Thank you very much, Derek, for having me. Thank you.
Well, it's great to have you. We've been trying to set this up for actually years, but we're finally doing it. And you've been a very busy guy, playing all over with so many different groups and people, a lot of different stuff. A lot of your own compositions, of course, because you're very, very prolific, I would say, as a composer, which is wonderful. So I wanted to just start. You're from Syria, and you grew up there, I guess, right?
That's right. Yes, I lived in Syria until I was 24, and that's in 2001 when I moved to the US.
Sure. So I was just going to ask you a little bit about your background, how you got into music, clarinet, composition, whatever else you want to share with our audience.
Absolutely. I grew up in a household that considered culture to be incredibly important. So my mom and my dad tried to expose my sister and I to a variety of things, including music. And music, we listen to lots of classical music at home. That's what my father loves. And lots of traditional Arabic music, which my mom loves. But then, my earliest memories of classical music was when before even I can remember, where my dad used to make my sister and I sit, and he will conduct the loudspeakers at home, playing, the classics.
That was Western European classical music.
Yeah, it's like, one of the first pieces I remember was Mussorgsky's Night on a Bare Mountain.
Yes.
That's a piece that I have really deep in my brain. Composition came a bit later. I was encouraged to compose at a young age by my dad and my mom, but also by the different clarinet teachers that I had. And then it took a natural, evolution in a way that I started to like it more, and then things became bigger. Until 2010 or 9 is when it was the first time that I was commissioned to write a piece by this festival in Germany called the Morgenland Festival. And I immediately wrote a piece for like a full orchestra with voice and clarinet. And since then, I became very active actually as a composer. I don't see these two lives as different, being a performer and being a composer. They are, I think, two sides of the same coin. I draw inspirations from the great masters. Mozart, now we know of him as a composer, but back in his time, he wasn't only a composer. He was a instrumentalist, a composer, a conductor, and an improviser, which I love to do.
And you're an improviser as well, of course.
So, I'd like to think of music as a much bigger thing than just, I do this one thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think about it, I like to play. I choose to play what I want to play, and I write the music I like to hear. So I keep it simple and direct, if you want.
That sounds like a good plan. All right, so now we're going to go to our first video. And so tell our audience a little bit about this.
Yes. The group you're going to hear is my family away from my family, really. This is my band that I started in 2003, I believe. The name of the group is the Kinan Azmeh City Band, and I'm joined by Carl Sana on guitar, John Hatfield on drums, and Josh Myers on bass. And the piece we're going to play actually is a spin-off of a classical piece that I've written. This is my Arabic jazz quartet, what you're going to hear. And the title of the piece is Dance, which is the fourth movement of a piece that I've written originally for clarinet and cello for the wonderful Yo-Yo Ma, which we premiered in Hamburg, a few years back. But this movement took a life on its own with my quartet. So here it is. We played it. This is during COVID, so it was a recorded live performance from the Green Space in New York.
Yes. All right. Let's go and watch this video right now. it's Derek Jordan, and we are back with Kinan Azmeh. I wanted to ask you about Syria, and I know you left there of your own choice to study and work elsewhere, and you've gone back sometimes. What's it like there now?
You know, my connection with Syria is a complex and a very deep one. Syria is home for me. I was born in Damascus, left. I didn't know I was leaving, when I left. I was 24. This is the year now, 2000.
Yeah.
I came to study in the US. The plan was to do my master's 2 years and go home. That was my plan. So I did 1 year in Boston, and then I did my master's in New York at Juilliard. And then one thing led to another. I ended up doing a graduate diploma afterwards, also at Juilliard, and then my doctorate at the City University of New York. And I think little by little, New York sucked me in like it does. It's an incredibly special place to be as a musician, to be in New York City, of course.
Yeah.
But I've been not struggling, but actively struggling with the concept of home, what that means. Mm. And Damascus is home, but also New York is becoming home too. I guess everywhere where you are able to establish deep and direct connections with the people and the community around you, you're choosing that this is an extension of home. My big plans were to go to Damascus. I bought a little place in the old city of Damascus in 2010. But then, the uprising and the war that followed prevented me from fulfilling that dream. I still have the little place, and I'm hoping that one day I'll be able to be there at least part of the time. I haven't been playing back in Damascus now for a long time, for the obvious reasons. I think culture has been held hostage, by the government, and I don't want to be part of that.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I go and I see my family and very few friends who are still there.
So tell us about this next video we're going to see.
Yes. This piece, lots of my pieces have kind of a narrative, or let's say kind of some kind of a storytelling aspect. This one doesn't really. The title of the piece is The Canteen, and it was inspired by a little basically like water container or wine container that I found at the Smithsonian in DC. There were two same exact size and shaped kind of water bottles that were found, one in Aleppo and one in China. Mm. Thousands of miles apart, but from the same period, and that inspired this piece. Mm. Very, very simple. Just how history has incredible ways of connecting people, and this is a project that I'm very proud of, because it's a project that I started with the NDR Big Band, the legendary big band that is based in Hamburg, and we did an album together. So this was a performance that we did in Osnabrück before the album was recorded. So I think that was the world premiere of that performance, and I think the video we're gonna see is me taking a little solo.
Yes, great. Okay, let's go and watch this right now. And we are back with Kinan Azmeh, composer and clarinetist. I wanted to ask you about, your genre, what you think about different styles and playing in so-called different styles and how they come together for you.
I try to think about it in a very simple way. I have an idea in my mind. I have the tool. The tool is my clarinet and also my pen, when I'm writing music. And I'm trying to work on my skills to use the tool to express an idea. So for me, always the idea is the most important. And when you think about the idea, ideas by default are like genre passing entity. You can express an idea of love or hate or you name it in any genre. There's a love story in every single culture, for example. And the added value of music is that it takes us somewhere beyond what we're expressing in language. So when I play, whether I'm playing the Mozart Clarinet Concerto or when I'm playing with my quartet, or when I play with the NDR, or when I'm writing my opera, it's not that I suddenly think, oh, I need to write this piece in this style. I try to keep my eyes and ears as open as possible, and I happen to like a variety of things. And when I like something, I go like obsessively in a learning mode, and I try to learn as much as I can. And it takes years, of course, until this knowledge resurfaces in the music I'm writing or in the way I'm playing. But I always invest in the knowledge of other cultures. But when I'm writing my own music, I don't think of genres, really. It's not that when I'm writing a string quartet piece, I'm like, oh, I would like to add like a Syrian element or like an Indian rhythm element. Mm. I just reflect immediately of what I feel I have, and I put it on paper or when I'm playing. I think there's honest music and there's music that is not very honest. And you can immediately tell how much effort also is put into the music. And also, when you're using elements from other cultures, of course, one has to be also very careful with that, because you really have to spend the time learning that before you're able to use it. You have to dig vertically to get closer to the soil and the soul of that music. And for me, that's incredibly important.
And give, respect to those cultures if you're borrowing elements of the cultures,
Absolutely. So you always have to give credit. You cannot just borrow a melody and say, well, traditional.
Right.
No, lots of these things do have composers, and lots of the music that we think is traditional, actually their composers, are still alive too.
That's right.
That's what I mean by research and digging vertically, to really know all aspects of what you are using and how you're using it.
So tell us briefly about this next video that we're going to see.
This is again with my family, from my family, the Kinan Azmeh City Band. And this is a piece that have been a classic ending for lots of my concerts with this group. And actually, this is one of the pieces that is also like genre passing. The piece Wedding that I've written in 2006, which is inspired by the mood and the setting one can find in a Syrian village wedding. It's all original material. But the setting is not original. That setting exists in every village, maybe in the world, where the parties take place in the public square, everybody's attending. And what's important about this piece is that I ended up having a version for this quartet. There's a version of a clarinet orchestra. It ended up being the third movement of my suite for clarinet and orchestra, which I've been touring the world with recently. And we have a version of that also with the NDR Big Band. So it's one of the pieces that ended up having multiple lives. And this is from the same performance from the Green Space, which is a collaboration between the Green Space and Carnegie Hall, for this festival that we did during COVID. With the same personnel, Kyle Sana on guitar, Josh Myers on bass, and John Hatfield on drums.
That's great. Let's go and watch this right now. Hey, we are back with Kinan Azmeh. And I wanted to ask you about new projects. You have a new CD coming out. So tell our audience about what's up with that.
There are always new projects going on. I finished last year an opera that was premiered in Germany, an opera fully sung in Arabic called Songs for Days to Come. And of a really recent project, that's my album with the wonderful string quartet Brooklyn Rider called Starlighter, featuring Matthias Kunzli on percussion. The album came out earlier this month, and I'm super excited because it has some music that I've composed, including In the Element, which is a piece in 3 movements, and a piece by Colin Jacobson and a piece by Liova. And there's also a string quartet piece that I've written for Brooklyn Rider. And this project is going on tour right now, and I'm really excited to be sharing some of that music with your, with your viewers. Which also, I think it's a good segue to introduce the next clip. The next clip is actually from the middle movement of that work, In the Element, which is in 3 movements: Run, Rain, and Grounded. And this clip we chose is with the Apple Hill String Quartet, which commissioned the work. We recorded that also during COVID. And this is from the middle movement titled Rain.
Very good. All right, let's go to watch this right now. Today we are back with Kinan Azmeh, and just wanted to thank you so much for coming on the World Fusion Show today and sharing your music with our audience. I'm sure they'll be really excited to hear all the cool things you're doing.
Thank you so much, Jake, for having me. Thank you.
It's great. Thank you so much. Be well. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Hey, this is Derek Jordan. Thanks for joining us today on the World Fusion Show with Kinan Azmeh. And, it's been great to have you. And, please subscribe to us on YouTube. Tell your friends all about the show. And let's share this music far and wide. I'd like to give a big thank you to our sponsors, Mackenzie Family Charitable Trust, Chris Pratt, Nancy Feinberg, and Ron Dans, for their generous support. And also, as we always say on the show, remember, think globally, listen locally, and support independent music.